Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's having a good day. Travis Wiley here in the office. Been seeing some patients this morning. Had a quick little break and I wanted to come on here and do a little video. So let me come out here and sit. I had some things on my mind today that I wanted to talk about based on what I've been seeing in the news lately. And I tell you, to me, it's quite humorous. So let me begin. First of all, y'all may have seen this story over the last few days. I've seen it online, and I saw it last night. Actually, it was on CNN. They were talking about it, and it seems to be that there's some concern, there's some talk, some dialogue from the talking heads, if you will, at the networks. Some concern that a lot of Republicans are not getting the injection, and particularly they're saying Trump supporters are not getting the injection. And last night, Cuomo on CNN was singling out white male, older type individuals, and which I would fall into that demographic. But and even though I'm a vaccine resistant or vaccine hesitant individual, I've got my concerns about it. Doesn't necessarily make me a Trump supporter. So, on the one hand, there's been that. I thought it's interesting that they're trying to find an excuse, a reason for these individuals not getting the injection, and their excuse they're coming up with is because, they're Trump supporters, they're staying true to Trump, and they feel like Donald Trump needs to come out and tell his supporters to go get the injection. Chris Cuomo last night was even making a big deal out of the fact that Trump is the only former president who has not done a PSA encouraging people to get the injection. And when I heard that, and again, I'm not a big Trump fan, people, but when I heard that, I thought, well, maybe Donald Trump is the only former president who has the respect and the dignity to give each of us our own right to make our own decision about that. Even though he chose to get the injection, he's not going to force anyone to do what he thinks is necessarily right for him. So anyway, so there's that aspect. And then there's another story that's been making the rounds, and I know you've been hearing about this. It was all over the news yesterday. And it's talking about how the disproportionate difference there is between whites and blacks getting the injection. And of course, the number, so far by large, the number of people who have gotten the injection have been white. Whereas the number of people who have, the number of blacks who have gotten the injection so far has been relatively low. And so the news stories that I saw on it, they're trying to make this, and and this may be true somewhat, I don't know, but they had some pundits on there, pontificating, if you will, pundits pontificating about this situation. That maybe it's a social injustice thing, that blacks are not given equal access to the injection. And that may be true in some parts of the country, but, I'm going to say this. I believe that here in Arkansas, in my area, I think, they've allowed the injection. They made it available to certain people, different groups. They've got a tiered process that they're doing. And as far as I know, any black individual that wanted to get the vaccination, that was qualified and was in the group to get the vaccination, could get the vaccination. But again, the political pundits are trying to spin this as if the blacks are not getting the injection because it's being suppressed. They're being suppressed and it's not being made available to them. So that brings me to the idea of opinions, medical opinions versus science. And it seems as if, these political pundits and these people on the news, they just can't seem to accept the fact that maybe these individuals who are not getting this injection just don't want to get the injection. Maybe it's got nothing to do with being a Republican or a white male or a Trump supporter. Maybe it's got nothing to do with being black or being denied access to a vaccine or an injection. Maybe none of that has anything to do with it. Maybe it's just individuals who are looking at this situation and who have come to their own opinion that they want to hold off on this. And it may seem unusual that we would let that opinion would carry such weight, but you know what? This is not uncommon at all. In fact, it's not the first time that it's happened. There's been huge controversies in history about medical opinion versus science. And the one that comes to mind first for me is our opinion and our theories concerning heart disease. And there's a great book, and I've made reference to this before. It's called Death by Food Pyramid by an author named Denise Minger. And this book, I like it. She catalogs and she chronicles some of the wars of opinion, if you will, that have occurred in the scientific community, in the medical community, and in our political community. And the big one is going back to the opinions concerning heart disease. And this all started back in the 40s and in the 50s. And the big player at that time was a physician named Ansel Keys. Now, you may have heard of him. You may have heard of Ansel Keys. He was the proponent. He was the one that was really pushing the saturated fat, high cholesterol, heart disease theory. Now, back in this time, keep in mind, back in the 40s and 50s, heart disease was definitely ramping up in this country. It was becoming alarmingly high. So they were looking for reasons of what's causing this increase in heart disease and heart attack and stroke and such as that. Well, they knew the cholesterol had something to do with it. High cholesterol had something to do with it. They knew that high levels of cholesterol seemed to be indicative or lead someone to having, heart disease. What Ansel Keys did, though, he took it a step further. He said it wasn't just fats or cholesterol or lipids. He said it was specifically saturated fats. He said that's a diet of saturated fats increases cholesterol, and that's what causes the heart disease. And he began this big campaign to, declare war on fat. And, he was successful. Ansel Keys was able to lobby his theory to get the U.S. government, whoever the powers that be at the time, to endorse his theory. And it was soon after that the United States declared war on cholesterol, declared war on fat, and started this organized campaign, supposedly a scientific campaign to bring down cholesterol levels by bringing down saturated fats. And the pharmaceutical industry, they were very successful in creating a drug that that very easily, very well brought down blood levels of cholesterol. So it started this whole trajectory of what we're doing to fight heart disease in this country. And it's all been based on the opinion of a doctor, Ansel Keys, that convinced a bunch of other people that his opinion was correct. And they started down this pathway of high fat, high cholesterol, heart disease. And so we're going to win the war on heart disease. Now, people, that was back in the 50s. Now we're 60, 70 years later. I'm just going to ask you the question, where are we on heart disease in this country? The fact is, heart disease remains the #1 killer of Americans. In 60 years of medical science, medical opinion that's been chasing after this high cholesterol, saturated fat, high cholesterol, heart disease theory of healthcare, after 60 years, we've made absolutely zero gains. More people today die from heart disease than from anything else. So if you wonder why I question some of the opinions being espoused about this coronavirus and about these vaccines, these injections, and the safety of them and the efficacy of them, I think I have a lot of really valid, very good reasons to be suspicious of medical opinion. I'm a doctor. I consider myself a scientist. I know how to read scientific papers. I understand the language. I know the terminology. I've read these things, and I just disagree with them, and I'm not the only one. Back in the 50s, there were a bunch of doctors. There was a whole nother camp of physicians and researchers and scientists who disagreed with Ansel Keys. They said, no, it's not the saturated fat that's driving up the cholesterol and causing the heart disease. It's all the grains. Because at that time, they were eating sugar was going up into in the diet more than ever. Processed grains was going up in the diet more than ever. There were a lot of other things, a lot of other factors that could have been the cause of it. And today, 60 years later, when you look at the science of it, you realize that saturated fat really is not that big of a player in heart disease. It's really not. So today, I want to encourage you to not be swayed by medical opinion, Don't be swayed by the medical opinion, especially of news anchors, of these people on CNN and NBC and Fox and wherever they may be. Those people are definitely not the experts. Don't be swayed by the opinions of other people of what medical science says. Because I can tell you, with science, you can prove anything or disprove anything. So science is, it has no opinion. Science is just facts and data. But what really matters is how do we interpret that data? How do we apply that data to human lives, to human health, to human healing, and to sickness and disease? That's what really matters. All right, I guess that's all I had to say today. Again, I know these are hard times, these are challenging times, and it's making us all have to think much harder than we like to. But I want you to know that I'm here to help. If I can do anything to help you understand this situation better, or if I can do anything to help you get healthier and stay healthier, if you decided, I want to try to get healthy without drugs, without surgery, and I want to try to minimize those or avoid those in my life and in my health, well, then come see me. That's what I am all about. That's what my life, that's what my career has been about. Helping people stay as healthy, as strong as possible without drugs and without surgery. Now, that's just my opinion. Everybody have a great day. I'll see you in the next video.